Hello, hello, hello. So I am just gonna wait a few seconds for some people to jump in. And I also just need to know if you guys can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. I can see you popping in. Hi, everyone. I hope you are okay. I don't know if you can you all see me and can you all hear me? Daisy, hello, hello, hello. Soph, hey, Unica, hello, hello, hello. Hat, hat, hat. Hat, hat. So you can hear me, excellent, that's great, thank you so much. Tanya, hello from Astrology, Astrology from Australia, can hear and see you. Yes, 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 can hear you, see you perfectly. All right, hello from Melbourne. Hi, Lynette, lovely to have you. Hey, Reem, lovely to have you. Valerie, Janine from New Zealand, hey. Excited to have caught you live. I know. I'm good, thank you, Soph. So I haven't been live for the longest time. From Iowa, lovely to have you. Hey, from Canada. I know I haven't been live. I know I haven't done my monthly live reads as well for the longest time. As you have all been seeing, if you've been following my social, you can see like I've been working on quite a lot of stuff to bring you guys. I've been working really hard on lots of new content and lots of new ideas to get out to you. So thank you so much for your patience. I just want to say a massive thank you for all of you and to all of you for all of your support with my astrology. You know, as many of you know, it's not what I consider my strongest sort of discipline, so it's been really wonderful to have it received in the way that it has, and I can't thank you all enough for giving me so much love and so much confidence and helping me with it. I really appreciate each and every single one of you, those of you that are here, those of you that catch this after. I just can't thank you enough. Like Radiant Reality, like literally, you know, it sounds really cheesy, but I always say I created Radiant Reality, but it's you guys that make it a community, and I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless this session with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that whatever messages come through, even if they're challenging, they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I've tried to find the balance point for all of this, right? So it is an intense full moon. I'm sure you are all feeling it. It is an intense eclipse. I'm sure you are all feeling it. For those of you that bought my year ahead readings, you know I talked about this in those months ago when I released them, and you know, true to form, it's kind of shaping up in the way that the way that I talked about. I'm very grateful for that, and I want to add, I can tell you this last week has been no cakewalk, right? And I'm sure you can probably see how puffy my face is. You can probably see, I could take the shopping home in these babies. And that is because sleep has been hard to come by, first of all, and also because it's been intense. If you've been with me long enough, you know this. If you haven't, I will divulge full disclosure. I used to suffer with night terrors really bad. And so every so often as as an adult, I say an adult, I mean right up to and including like the age of 26, I suffered with them quite badly. And so now when I have them as an older person, I get a little bit like, ooh, freaked out, because I'm like, I can't go back to that period in my life again. And this week alone, I've had like 3 or 4. So like back to back to back. One of them was the dreams have been powerful, y'all. Right? And I'm sure like some of you are saying they've been powerful for you as well. They've been really strong, really intense, bringing up a whole lot of stuff. And I don't know about anybody else, but are you finding, and I want you to know this, because you're not crazy, you're not experiencing a breakdown or anything, you're experiencing the pre-breakthrough symptoms. That's what's happening here. You're not breaking down, you are having a set of pre-breakthrough symptoms. All right. So that being said, you may have noticed that the past has been coming up for you a lot, and whatever story, whatever challenge or issue or thing was going on for you at the time of the latter end of 2016 is now closing out. We're closing out whatever was going on for you at that moment in time. And it's funny because whenever I talk about 2016, I call it the year that must not be named. I don't want to go into it, but again, if you know me, you know I always talk about it being that, right? 2016, the year that must not be named. You will probably be seeing things and challenges and stuff wrapping up from that cycle at this moment in time. And you just need to allow it to come up, observe it, don't get into it, don't tussle with it or any of that. Let it come up. Let it feel whatever you're feeling at that moment in time, whether it's thoughts, whether it's feelings, whether it's energies, whatever it is, let it come up, observe it. Take a moment, pay attention, and then let it go, right? Scorpio is, after all, a water sign, so it's about letting it flow. So good afternoon, Ginseng. Lovely to have you, babes. That being said, I'm going to get into this. I do have quite a lot of it. I will go back to I will eventually go back to this, and I will put up timestamps and everything. I didn't know I was going live until this morning. So the reason this video is so late, I've been working on the write-ups for this for ages, and it is literally 26 pages long. I like to be very thorough in what I do, and I like to bring as much as I can to you guys so that you can use this event. So I really apologize for it being late, but I hope it's still relevant. And for those of you where this happens on the 16th, this is still sorry for your loss, by the way, Heidi. I did catch that. I apologize. So what I'm going to say to you is, be present, allow yourself to be in it. And because Scorpio is a water sign, and Scorpio itself is about purging, it rules the colon in the body, right? So this is the toilet flush, guys. It's the flush of your internal system, your mind, your body, and your spirit. And it's also a flush of the energy. So this is that moment where we kind of, TMI, where we dump our mental, physical, and spiritual bowels and then flush and just let it go, right? So allow it to come up and allow it to go. I have tons to get through, so you'll have to stick with me. There won't be any timestamps until I can go back after it's uploaded, but there will be them. And I really hope that this helps you and it speaks to you. All right, so Wendy, 2016, right? The year that must not be named. It was intense. The other thing is as well, I didn't know I was going live. I thought originally, because of the way that I've been feeling, so tired and all the rest of it, I'm sorry to hear that, Capri. Because of that, I had actually planned, I wasn't even going to go on camera for this. That's how much 2016 was such a serious note for Soph. You're a babe. Thank you so much. That's how serious 2016 was for me. And in order to reframe this, I like to practice what I preach. I'm just a human being. I experience all of this stuff just the same way that you guys do. All right. There's nothing special about me, not above you, not below you, but right beside you every step of the way. All right. This 2016, this wrapping up for me, huge deal. And so what I want to say to you is I didn't know I was going to go live. And then this morning when I finally finished the write-ups, I've been up since 7 o'clock this morning on a Sunday. It's now 1:45. I'm literally writing to get these finished because I felt so important to get out to you guys. And so I didn't know I was going live. I keep saying that, right? And it's so important because then once I'd finished the write-ups, something said to me, you would usually slink away and hide from the world and try to, insulate yourself from all of this usually around anything to do with Scorpio. It's a full moon. It's a lunar eclipse. Get off your ass, get out into the world and show up for your community. And I was like, okay, guys, you in control here. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, right? My cheeks are going red now as well. So, I'm here, right? So this, there's a few things now with, whenever I'm talking astrology, I'm always talking whole sign astrology. I'm always talking with the tropical zodiac, okay? Just to clarify that from the offset. And you're also wanting to look at your ascendant sign. This is going to be most relevant for you, especially with an event this big sort of thing. Your sun sign is going to be more about the overarching goal or mission or path of your life direction. And then your moon sign, and you know, this is a full moon lunar eclipse, so we're all going to be feeling it in the moon somewhere. This is about that sort of deeper inner world. So try to watch all three so that you get like a deep sort of understanding of this stuff, okay? Now, that being said, I also want to mention that the time that I'm using for this eclipse specifically is from Raphael's Ephemeris, and it's set to the UTC. So the stuff that I talk about with the numerology will only really be, it's relevant for all of us in a sense, but only if you're kind of in that sort of time bracket. And I've used that at it's the UTC time for GMT for London. Okay, now that being said, May the 16th, this is happening at 25 degrees of Scorpio. And 25 degrees of Scorpio is, interestingly enough, it is the Seven of Cups in the tarot. Now, if you know anything about tarot, you know this is not an easy card because it can speak to self-illusory tendencies, and it can be sometimes pie in the sky, where, you know, there was so much going on. There's so many things that are pulling us in different ways and directions that we don't really focus on anything deep enough to really see the clarity of it. Now, this is a full moon, but it is an eclipse. So this is going to be bringing us a tandem energy. Now, when I looked at the chart, so the chart, I can't show you it because I'm actually on my iPad at the moment. Great time to meditate. Absolutely. But the shape that is formed inside the middle circle of this, there's a pentacle, which means that this eclipse has a very mystical, very magical kind of energy about it if you are willing to allow it to do what it needs to do. Scorpio is the sign of purging, as I mentioned. It's the sign that rules the colon. So this is getting rid of, removing some kind of mental, physical, spiritual constipation in a sense. So this is really, really powerful. This is a powerful moment. This is a powerful moment of release. Remember, eclipses are technically malefic events, so you don't want to be manifesting on this. You don't want to be putting anything out into the world like that. It's just about allowing release to happen. Whatever comes up, we allow it to go. We allow it to release. So full moon is a time of completions. This is a full moon lunar eclipse, and we're here seeing a grand completion, but it's one that incepts some kind of change of direction of things that are coming with a bit of a crash, right? Because it is quite intense. So the south node is also, and this is what makes an eclipse, when the moon comes into connection with one of the nodes, either the north node or the south node, right? And so this is like a point of flush, as I've talked about, and it's where things are processed and then spat out. So when a full moon happens on or with the south node, it's in essence, this is like a hard delete. And that's why this is so powerful. It's why it's so wonderful for all of us. Even with all of this intensity, this is a hard delete. This is a closing out of whatever that crap was that was going on for you in 2016. This is that point where that all comes to an end. It comes to a crescendo. And so whatever's being phased out, what is being flushed out energetically or even karmically, it's being pushed out for good. And that's great. This means, so around this time as well, if you have physical symptoms where you think, oh dear, tummy, toilet, need to go, too much info, I know, sorry, but we are talking about a full moon in Scorpio, so we can get a little bit grimy. You know, let it come, right? Even if you're feeling like you need to purge that way, let it come. Full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. This sign is deep, it's dark, it's taboo. While it is, and this is also the sign of power and fear and the occult and hidden things. And so don't get freaked out by this. If you've been following my my astrology posts, I talked about this. Each sign has a duality. It's got a light side and a dark side, and the dark side doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like dark or evil. Sometimes it's the shadow of us. It's the part of us that's unacknowledged, the part that we, squeeze down into a spiky ball at the base of our consciousness, and we keep that beastie locked up so that nobody sees the heavy or the vulnerable or the whatever for us. Don't do that, right? This is a time to purge it, to let it out. So the original emblem for the sign of Scorpio was actually the phoenix. And this is why this sign does transformation better than any other sign in the zodiac, right? Scorpio is the sign of transformation. It truly is. And what do we mean by transformation? Taking one thing, processing it, crunching it around, and then turning it into something else. With that pentacle in the center of this chart, it can be on a very magical, very mystical, very powerful energetic level. So in at least one area of our lives, this moon might be happening and highlighting an aspect of things in our own charts. So this is like the lancing of a boil and then like the squeezing out of the pus. It's pretty grim, but you know what? It's like one of those moments, when you've got like, and you're like, oh, that's really sore to touch. And then the second you pop it and squeeze the stuff out, it's like, oh, okay, a little bit tender, but I feel much better now. Scorpio represents the energy of what is toxic, and that sting in the tail of the Scorpio, that is the toxicity. And so this full moon lunar eclipse, we've got two options. Don't know if you know this about Scorpions, but they will sting themselves. If you back them into a corner and they think there's no way out of this, they'll sting themselves to death. Like, fuck this, I'll take myself out before you get a chance to do it. Right? So we can either do that to ourselves, or we can tap into the true energy of spirituality. We can tap into the true energy of Scorpio, which is enlightenment, and transform that venom into a powerful healing antidote for whatever it was that was coming up for you around that 2016 point. All right, so they say like the snake bite is the venom of the snake is the antidote to the bite. Same thing with this Scorpio energy. All right, whatever was coming up for you in 2016, the healing for it happens now. And because this is in several disciplines, this moment in time is actually part of a much bigger vortex, which means a lot of the stuff that you clear now, you're clearing at much bigger or much more amplified levels of energy. So how and where this is going to play out for you is highly relevant, and it's obviously going to be a chance for you to do the scorpionic thing, to purge, to release, to excrete. Scorpio, like I said, represents the colon, to get rid of, to push it out, to allow it to be done. Scorpio is a fixed sign, and this is going to highlight to us where some form of emotional, mental, energetic or physical constipation is there. The challenge is that this very likely will have nothing to do with us. Isn't that the interesting part of it? The stuff that happened in 2016 was deeply personal. Like, it felt like, universe, man, what, you out here really trying to do me dirty, right? Whereas this stuff that's coming up now is likely to have very little to do with us. It's the echo, it's the shadow, it's the distortion of the play of light. So when you look at it, it feels like it's that, but it's not that same thing again. There's several reasons for why this is 2016, but it's something that I have observed for myself. Whether that resonates with you or not, you don't have to speak on. I'm not going to get too much into that side of things. And the reason I put it out there is to ask people, are you feeling this echo from that point in your life? That's as much as I'll say on that. So with this, you can numb or escape from the pain, or you can unpack it, you can sit with it and pour the light of the moon into that space to allow it to be healed. That loving feminine, because Scorpio is a feminine sign, beneficence into that space where you're therefore allowing your life and you can heal yourself truly and allow something to be released. It's also worth noting that Scorpio is about desire. Now, this is one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about with this sign. And so this is a moment at which a personal desire of some kind can come into your world, can come into your experience. And so when it's highlighted, this is a moment at which you could say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to deny what my desire actually is. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a moment at which, and it could be materialistic, it could be, you know, a little bit naughty. It doesn't matter what it is. It's about owning that deep desire that is asking for expression through you. And rather than, you know, pack it down into that spiky ball that I talked about earlier at the base of your consciousness, it's about allowing it to be expressed through your daily experience. And when you shed light on your true desires, they stop sabotaging you from underneath. They stop steering your vehicle and saying, right, okay, you know what? I want this, but because I don't really acknowledge that I want it, I self-sabotage myself, and I don't really, you know, and I get into situations that might be not necessarily good for me. This can be so freeing and so liberating at this time, and it can bring you more wholeness and balance because you're not denying who you truly are. So really, really nice. In the X-Men film as well, the character Magneto, trust me, there's always a point to my superhero analogies because sometimes they just really ring so true to me, and I'm like, you know what? This makes more sense than anything else. So forgive the superhero stuff, but I'm a bit of a nerd, so I love it. There's in the X-Men film First Class, Mystique, the character that, you know, she's blue, basically, like that's her natural state. But most of the time she makes herself look like an ordinary human like everybody else. And so when she's doing that, that's taking half of her focus, half of her concentration. And one day he says to her, if you're focusing on this, 50% of your attention, so right, if you're denying a desire, if you're holding something back because you're scared of what it's going to say to you, and you're already cutting half of your energy, your focus, your attention, and your power in half, because you're not really truly able to express who you are. Now remember, there's power here for the taking and the shaping if you are brave enough. Why? Because Scorpio is ruled by Mars in ancient astrology. So the moon is going to be trine Mars. And this aspect for me, I think the moon is trining Mars, which is conjunct Neptune. I think this is actually a beautiful energy, and it can, however, make us a bit more sensitive. Moon Mars is very explosive feelings at times. You know, they talk about it being the spiritual warrior, absolutely, but it can be emotional eruptions, let's say, that can overflow and, you know, could really feel deeply, or could feel like they're wounding deeply. But remember what I said, it's an echo. All right, it's not the thing itself, it's an echo. Issues around women, I mean, look at the world, you know, need I say more? Remember, Scorpio is transformation and Neptune is transcendence. So here is where the men who disagree with the status quo stand up for their mothers, their wives, their daughters, their nieces, their friends, their partners, or all of the rest of it. I'm not going to get too much into that, but you get my point. With that, Mars is conjunct Neptune at this time. Mars, so I say Neptune is dreamy, gaseous energy, but it's dulling the blade of Mars. It's cooling the fire of Mars. And so, yes, it can be a quelling of this, but it creates steam. When you put water and fire together, what happens? You get a lot of steam. And steam can power machinery, right? It can move really heavy stuff. And the way that I've characterized that Mars conjunct Neptune at the moment, it's like a spiritual dynamo That part of what's happening in our chart is driving the force for this. If we tap into it, if we channel this energy, it can be really, really useful. Moon in Scorpio is beaming Martian energy at us because Mars rules Scorpio. So if we can use the action and power, Mars, for higher transcendent energy and take the gentle warrior path, Neptune, we can truly transform our lives, Scorpio. All right, do you see how all of that stuff interacts? Saturn squaring the sun and the moon. So obviously whenever you get a full moon, the sun and the moon are opposite each other, but Saturn is squaring the sun and the moon at the moment because they're in the fixed signs. And so here, this for me conjures up a weight of responsibility. It's bringing up, for me, like this energy, actually, when I was looking at it, it's like Saturn moving through Aquarius is scraping along the earth as ice. Yeah, it's hi golly, thank you so much for being here. It demands a soothing of the soul, a reconnection to earth in its aspect to the sun at least. And the message here is, are you for real about what you're trying to manifest right now? Or are you just kind of using that as the next label or face to wear while the next thing comes on that you can, you know, don as a cloak and say, well, no, that actually this is me. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a really powerful moment with the sun squaring the sun and the moon. With Saturn squaring the sun and the moon, sorry. Saturn square the nodes, I've talked about this previously, but for me, this gives a feeling of things being ripped apart and put back together simultaneously. And that can be really, really hard because it's like, I'm not that, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not that. And it's like, you know, it feels like it's happening like this, but it is really, really potent and it can actually be very freeing. And then finally, the sun in Taurus is highlighting what we actually value. And the sun is sextile to Mars and Neptune at the moment. So in this part of it, this can be an opportunity to see where we're ready to put consistency into something and how those energies could be really good for us. This could be, as well, for a lot of people, a wise person or a teacher, yes, while this can be a more beneficial energy, it's an opportunity to get clear on what you're ready to fight on and what you're ready to fold, right? This is one of those moments where it's stick or twist with the universe. Do you want another card? You might bust, but if you stick, you might win, right? So you got to decide where that is for you. And then finally, it's a wise person who knows how to walk away, right? And then the last aspect I want to talk about is Pluto trining the North Node, and then the Sun and Pluto is trine the Sun and the North Node, sorry, and a dissociated trine to Mercury, which is at 3 degrees of Gemini. So that in itself, this is a true uncovering of information that we haven't quite had yet. It's a glimpse at a deeper truth. It's an honest look at the practicalities of our situations. It allows us to recognize and implement something in a better way once Mercury goes direct. To say that this full moon lunar eclipse is a time of revelations is definitely an understatement. It's going to leave us all changed and it's going to leave us all hollowed out. But that's actually a really good thing because it's creating that space. Because we're purging so much right now, it creates space. And sometimes that's what you really need in order to breathe. That's what we are allowing. The light of the full moon is clearing us out so that the light itself can be poured into us. All right. This is about releasing and, in a sense, maybe as well, you know, being exorcised in some way, you know, not in, you know, the spit in green suit kind of sense, but I hope you get what I mean by that. And then finally, the Mercury Cazimi on the 21st of May. That's going to be a powerful moment because at that moment we will be, we'll see the true understanding and the in-depth of what's actually happened here and then how we step forward for it. So this is a really powerful eclipse. It really, really is. Now, interesting numerology play with this. As I said, I used the UTC from Raphael's Ephemeris for this, where it says that the eclipse is taking place at 4:14. So so today is the 16th. 1 and 6 gives you 7. The degrees of the eclipse are 25. 2 and 5 gives you 7, right? It just keeps going, right? And then it's on, and then what we have here as well, the true numbers that are in play are the number 7 and the number 9. 7 is all about spirituality, self-analysis, doing the inner work, doing the digging on that deep in sort of internal place. Interestingly enough, the number 7 is ruled by Neptune, which is pretty interesting because that's, you know, interacting with this full moon lunar eclipse. And what I've put here for that is be on the alert for what looks or feels like it's out of place or what's ready for release. The number 9 is all about endings, culminations and completions, a grand clearing of the decks with 7 energy, with secrets being revealed. So it's a really, really potent time. Okay, very long-winded intro. I apologize, and it's not going to get any shorter, unfortunately. I did have a laugh with some clients yesterday about how much how much I talk and how much I write. So I apologize if this is you know, really a massive video. So for Aries, we get into it for you guys now. This is for all of the 12 signs. Like I said, check your sun, your moon and your ascendant, just so that you can get a much clearer idea of how they're going to speak to you. So for Aries, this moon for you is happening in your 8th house. What scares you the most, Aries? What is the thing that you really fear? This is a time for you to open up and speak about that stuff, to really talk about it, to really allow yourself to talk about what frightens you, because that could be where the healing and the transformation takes place. But it requires you to do that thing that you do best, to be brave, right? And what that really gives you is a sense of honesty. It gives you back a sense of your own... I don't want to say sovereignty because it's not about that, but it gives you self-ownership once more, because you're looking at things and saying, okay, you know what, this frightens me. And by admitting that, I take the power back from it, which is really, really potent. It might even be about a fear of the unknown for some of you, because remember, it's 8th house stuff. So this is, you know, the 8th house is your, oh gosh, come on brain. The 8th house is your, you know, the deep, the dark, the taboo. It's the occult. It's your secrets. It's death, sex, rebirth. All of that sort of taboo stuff is here. So this could literally be a fear around the unknown for you. You're going to be asked to let go of what is stagnant and what holds you captive, because you're now doing this and you're going to be realizing this, that by your own design are you trapped. And so this could be a moment at which you really kind of go through not only a purge, but a moment where it's like, wow, you know what, I can free myself from this and this is great. That sense of honesty can really, really, really powerfully support you at this moment in time, and it can create massive changes for you. So your ruling planet Mars is conjunct Neptune at the moment. Neptune has the power here because it's in the sign of its rulership, certainly in modern astrology, but it's smoothing off your edges. It's dulling your blade, possibly your sharpness and your wit as well. It might even be sapping your energy and strength, but it's also making you more sensitive personally and also to the plight of others. And because this is happening in that 12th house for you, you're going to get to see your past and therefore yourself in a much different light. Moon trine Neptune and Mars. So the moon is making a nice aspect to that Mars-Neptune conjunction. These planets are in trine, and so what feels here is that all around your spirit, an energy of ease and breathing is able to start coming through, allowing you to say, okay, this is what I feel, this is what I fear, let it go, let it really move beyond this sort of this point or this moment. So I feel like spirit breathing into the body or into the heart space allows you to transcend your current experience. Saturn square in the nodes, so your second house, your 8th house and your 11th are all coming into play with this. And so this is really looking at your financial outlook. Your financial experience is probably being challenged through this as well. And because your finances are being pulled apart and rewritten at the same time, it might feel like you're having moments of inadequacy, but actually there is a chance for you, like here, to gain new perspectives and also find higher blessings, new networks of friends. This is about really looking at your circle and saying what isn't working here, who is not really supporting in the way that they need to. Saturn squaring the luminaries, so the sun and the moon are in your 2nd and 8th house at this point, but they're the rulers of your 4th and 5th respectively. So this is asking you to really commit to pleasure and joy in the home, the pleasure and joy that you derive from your family and your true connections are being highlighted here. What this also suggests as well, you're being asked to commit to finding more pleasure from those things on a day-to-day level. And I actually really like that. I think it could be quite nice. This is about living each day in the present, finding things that cost nothing and being grateful and appreciative of those things so that when the bigger things come, which they are, you can really step into that and say, okay, you know what, I take this with both hands. Taking responsibility for your own pleasure is important right now. Sun, sextile Mars and Neptune for you. Opportunities for financial growth if you acknowledge what's holding you back and get real about making honest, practical steps towards making those things a reality. So it's not just a pie in the sky like, oh, I really want this and I want more money. It's like, what are you doing to make that happen? And here are the steps, right? They can start being revealed to you now. Might also be a time where you can, and here's one for, I know all of you Aries, sun, moon and ascendant, you're quite brave. So this is a time where you can stare down the universe and say, listen, I'm about it. I'm going to show up, right? You need to do your bit. That Pluto trine the North Node Sun and the dissociated trine to Mercury, 10th house, 2nd house and 3rd house. This is a realization about how your talents can be applied to new ideas or money-making endeavors and how it can be an understanding of what your skills are worth and they can be put to good use. It might also be a realization of how you have sold yourself short. All right, so that could be a really powerful time for you as well. Taurus, my dear Taurians, for you guys, this is happening in your 7th house. All right, so this full moon for you is happening. This is you completing a cycle of relationship patterns that have been unhealthy. This is where you get to look at your partnerships and your relationships, and say, okay, you know what? And so, by the way, if you're married, it doesn't mean that you're suddenly now getting divorced. No, of course not. It just means that this is about healing and transformation, but you have to do the work. You've got to show up in this space. It means that it could be quite intense. Maybe you're having really hard conversations with a lover or a partner. Could be big realizations about how you do relationships, about how you show up in your, your partnership experience. And it's like, ooh, yeah, okay, maybe I need to do I need to do a little bit of work around that. Okay. And it could also be as well where you admit to yourself where you are or are not fulfilled in relationships. In business or friendship connections, something here is about adapt or die. All right, so it's kind of like if it's gearing up towards being let go or released in some way, but this is where partnerships and projects can also come to fruition or completion. If you release a project around this time, or you have released a project and you think, oh, it didn't have quite the big impact that I wanted it to, it will come. All right, it will come. It's just, remember, it's an eclipse, so you lose the light for a certain period of time, and then you see it all in full. And probably my estimation on that would be after the Mercury cazimi on the 21st of May. And then finally, your 7th house is about competitors or people that are working against you. This might be a time where people like that are revealed to you as of this eclipse. Remember, it's not an event, it's a process that's going to unpack over the next 3 to 6 months. Mars conjunct Neptune, issues around networks and groups or people that have promised to show up for you but haven't. This is also a time where those things will get smoothed over, and it's also because the solar eclipse is really, that energy that happened in your sign, 2 weeks ago at this point, is now really starting to get into the good stuff. It's really starting to happen for you, right? It's actually making a difference. For some of you, this could be a reconnection with an old boss, an old friend, or an old colleague. I will say be cautious about reconnections at this time, because you might find that they could have explosive consequences or conversations that are uncomfortable. It might be a releasing of a way of working or doing business, or even removing your support from someone that doesn't seem like it gives the same in return anymore. Moon trine that Mars and Neptune, your 7th house and your 11th house are connecting there. And in that trine, I really like this for healing the relationship, right? So like I said, you know, it's going to be a moment of purging. Something about your relationships is needing to be let go, but the healing happens if you're willing to do it. This is a great time to consider a business idea with a partner, or bringing them in for future plans once the hard stuff has been cleared, once you've done that work to kind of separate something out, right? Where you and your partner haven't said what needs to be said, and it's congealed and it's started to fester, that's that Scorpio energy, it will be causing a rot from the inside. Purge it, let it out, speak it out, and let it go. Why? Because then you and your partner, if you have one, are moving collectively towards the magic. If you don't have one and you're still doing this work, you're clearing the way for the best relationship you've ever had in your damn life. Okay? And I will say that. For Saturn square in the nodes for you guys, this is, Saturn's been in your career sector for a while, right? It's been been really demanding a lot of solid effort from you. And so because it's been square in the nodes, Uranus is upgrading you, your mind, your body, your spirit, your outlook. Where Saturn is square in the nodes, it's the same, but from all ends. So your relationship is demanding more from you, but also your own desires are screaming at you at the same time. And so somewhere in the middle, you're having to really say, okay, how do I balance this out? Because I will no longer choose to let go of what I want, what I need, what I, desire. But at the same time, I have to temper this with what my relationship, my partner, my business partner, my friend, my, person that I live with, what they require from me as well. So the sun square in the luminaries for you are rulers of the 3rd and 4th. So challenges to home-based businesses are highlighted, but with that Mercury retrograde, the Mercury cazimi that comes, you'll get an insight on how to kind of step on the gas and then just roar forward. And I really like that for you guys. Remember, Saturn's going to go retrograde shortly as well. So that's going to give you like a little taster of what it's going to be like for you, when he moves into the next sign, which will be great. If you've got a home-based business, it might mean that your local area or possibly even your siblings require more support from you, and so therefore the family in some way, and it's pulling you away from that. So you're feeling an extra burden or weight from within the family in some way. Sun sextile to that Mars. So you're already being highlighted. The sign of Taurus has the sun, right? The sun is in your sign at the moment, which, by the way, I am so here for. It's been nice. It's been really, really nice. It gives you some strength, but also reconnections are possible now. And I like that for you. It might see you needing to rethink or re-strategize some of your past actions. So start thinking about exit strategies and making plans for your material success. And then finally, Pluto trine the North Node and the Sun, and that dissociated trine to Mercury. All of this is between your 9th house, 1st house, and 2nd. So this is a revising of your ideas around spirituality for sure. It could also bring new understanding on how you interact with the cosmos. So you might find a new way of meditating, a new way of praying, a new way of sharing with the universe in some way. And Pluto is transforming your connection to all that is. And it's allowing you to get like a higher vantage point, and it might prompt some of you to either go back to school or go on a retreat, maybe like an ayahuasca retreat, and it's like the insights that you gain from that have a direct result on not only how you see yourself, but how you go on to make money from the world. All right, for Gemini, this is for you guys. So you're doing this eclipse in the 6th house, releasing and letting go of your, not releasing and letting go of your body, but in the area of your body. For me, the 6th house is all about maintenance. It's about how you sort of look after this, how you facilitate the physical self in some way. And so am I going to need to, I think I might need to grab a charger because I don't know if my laptop's going to, not my laptop, my iPad's going to die. Sorry. So yes, this could be your body, your image, especially because of the Mercury retrograde in your own sign. So I feel that this is likely going to bring you so for you guys, the symptoms of this eclipse could be a lot more physical than anybody else. Be sure to eat light. Be sure to get plenty of water, resting the body when those energies come up, when those emotions come up. Ride the wave, all right? Allow it to come up, feel it, let it go. I give myself love. I give myself praise. I love this body that I'm in. I love my physical human self, right? And ultimately, this is so temporary, and as amazing as it is, it's so fragile. Love it and care for it right now. If you're on a healing journey, not doctor, can't give you medical advice, but this could be a healing crisis where something comes up or it comes to a head really powerfully, and then boom, you start to see, wow, you know what? Big healing energy starts to come in after that. Could also be a time where you decide to stop doing daily what other people can do for themselves. So, you know, if you're supporting somebody else and it's like, this person's old enough to do their own washing at this point, or, you know, this person's old enough to, you know, and it's not even about age, it's just where people can do for themselves what you have been doing for them, you might be ready to put that down now. If you've got animals, this might be a challenge with them. It could be, you know, and I've seen with Gemini stuff, with 6th house stuff, and eclipses, this can be where pets run away. So keep them, if you've got pets, over the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and the day after, keep them home. All right, if you need to take them out, obviously, to walk and, you know, to do their thing, very scorpionic today, we're talking about all this grim and gross stuff, then obviously keep them on a tight lead. This is not one of those periods where you just let them roam free. All right, so and then finally, this is a house of enemies. And so this full moon lunar eclipse, or as a result of it, you could find out somebody who has been working at cross purposes for you. All right, so watch out for that. Mars conjunct Neptune. This can be bringing a tremendous drive to your career, but it could also be where you lose desire or focus on something that you want to achieve, right? Because Neptune's dulling that energy. But if you find a way to channel that and put it into something, it's like you have to dig a little deeper for it. It could also be that, you know, there's a challenge with a friend in your support network that pulls out at the last minute. So what I will say is if you're leaning on somebody to get something over a finish line right now in work or career, this would be a really good time to find have a backup plan. So if they pull out at the last minute, you can kind of go, okay, cool, no problem. I've got a fix for that. With the moon trining those energies in Mars and Neptune, you've got a lovely boost on both fronts, even with the lack of energy that you might have, the support here that comes in from and through others. So it's a time here where you can cash in favors. If there's stuff that you need to know, if there's things that you're unsure of or unaware of, this is the time to hit up your people or your network and say, hey, listen, you remember that favor that you always said you would do me? Or you remember that thing that you one day said, like, so although somebody might pull out on you at the last minute, you also have the ability to call on other people in some way, which is great. And then not finally, but next, squaring the nodes from your ninth, Saturn is demanding you do something that isn't your forte. All right, so you're being pushed out of your comfort zone here, and the reason being is because Saturn's asking you to see the big picture. And, you know, Mercury's more about the detail and the facts and the figures and the pattern recognition and all of that. Whereas the Saturn right now squaring the nodes is really saying, no, I want you to think bigger. I want you to think broader. And so you're having to adjust your perspective right now. The nodes are currently in your 12th and your 6th. And your the luminaries are in your 6th and 12th at the same time. So I see that if you've got any vices, whatever they might be, this transit might show up in your body. So your body could be saying, I don't like it when you eat this food. I don't like it when you stay up this late. I don't like that certain type of alcohol. I don't like that person touching me. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember reading a story years ago that was really interesting about this woman that realized she was actually, like, her body was allergic to her partner. I mean, if that's not your body telling you, like, I don't want to be here, you know, what else is? But, you know, sad but true. So the luminaries for you are ruling the 2nd and the 3rd, respectively. Saturn squaring the sun for you guys is drawing your eye back to the past in order for you to consider what your deeper beliefs are and how you might be limiting yourself through them. And then on the other side of this, it could be that it could see a lot of Gemini people really asking the question, if I'm ready to leave this behind, what does it actually mean? What, do you know what I mean? Like, what does it mean that I'm ready to put this thing down? Sharing some of your inner sanctum could be very lucrative right now. So if you work in a field like this where you're online or whatever, it doesn't have to be like, you know, open up and here's my entire world. But if you give like little snippets of who you are behind the camera, what some of your secrets and your tips and your tricks and your hints could really amplify your earning potential right now. And like I said, it doesn't have to be everything. It just has to be a snippet. Sun sextile Mars and Neptune, home-based opportunities could come up, or at least this could be that your home feels more secure and feels more like a sanctuary or a space where you're running your own operation can happen. So that's really nice for the future. I kind of get the feeling that the home is a bit of a hub as a course of this. This might be a time where people that are in distress or having some form of challenge right now are coming to you. And so, you know, this might be a time to have a bit of an open door policy. Most Geminis that I know do anyway. You can talk to them about anything and they're just like, you know, not a big deal. Pluto trine the North Node, the Sun, and Mercury retrograde. This could be a moment where a lot of fears around you, your body, lie under the surface could be highlighted. It's an ideal time for you guys to pull away from the world, spend some time maintaining your spiritual connection, your physical health, your mental health. Why? Because the 6th house, 12th house axis is maintenance. The 6th house is maintenance of the physical self. The 12th house stuff that's happening is maintenance on this, on the mind, on the spirit. So past considerations can be coming up here as well, but also gifts that come through from the past, where maybe somebody contacts you and says, oh, you know, I remember you did me this favor once and I just want to say a massive thank you. And you're like, that was like 5 years ago, dude, like long forgotten at this point. But so what? Gifts, right? Gifts are gifts. Cancer, this is you guys. This is happening in your 5th house. So if you're a Cancer ascendant, a Cancer sun, Cancer moon, this is in your 5th house. Are you ready to let go of the way that you have seen romance and relationships until now? Are you ready to purge toxic ideas about love? Are you ready to let go of and realize where maybe somebody that you have a crush on is unavailable, and that's why you have a crush on them, because you know it's not going to go anywhere. Well, I can stay single because, you know, in the back of your mind, in the depths of yourself, it's like, well, I'll go for this person because I know they're unobtainable. So I don't really have to get into a partnership. I don't really have to give my heart. I don't really have to, you know, succumb to the pangs of love. This could see you get very candid about where you seek pleasure and where you deny yourself of having pleasure. Could be a powerful moment in creative projects for some of you. It could be wrapping up a creative idea, which could be great, but it might need an adjustment at a later date. Could also bring intensity around children if you have them. Their moods, their experiences can weigh on you deeply, especially as a Cancerian. And this area for you and for Leo as well, besides the 4th house, it's where you're most passionate, and also the home, the family, and the people that are considered family. This is where Cancers get the most deadly. People always, I'm always the one to talk about this. It seems everybody else is like, oh, Cancers are so light and fluffy and emotional. And yes, you know, all of those things, absolutely. But you mess with them in that home or family sector and you will see danger like you've never seen. Cancer is the mama bear watching over their cubs, or the papa bear watching over their, or the wolf watching over their young, right? You mess with them or their family or the people they care about, and you gonna find out they switch really quick. All right, so this could also be, if you have children, a time where you're needing to challenge them and their crappy behavior. We love them, right? But if you're being a D-bag, I'm going to tell you straight, you're being a D-bag. And so this might be a time where you're having to tell somebody that you love, you know, somebody that you've given life to, you know what, I love you and you're my kid, but actually you're being a bit of a dick right now. You know, find your own words, I guess. Mars conjunct Neptune, this is happening in the 9th house for you. So Mars conjunct Neptune can be that spiritual warrior energy. And because it's happening in the 9th house, this is gorgeous, because this is really, if you can find a way to connect with, to pray, to meditate, to really connect with the universe, you could have some really profound understandings. If you can't do that kind of thing, active meditation, active silence, music, tapping, right? If you can do it through some sort of sensory stimulation, you can rock back and forth, find a way to the divine right now, because you could get a lot from it. It also sees you deciding on a way to help the world that feels really beneficial. That's wonderful. Moon trine Mars conjunct Neptune. It gives you a light at the end of the tunnel. You're seeing a way through this eclipse. Yes, it's intense for all of us, but you could be getting a point or a moment where it's like, yes, you know what? That's how I navigate this. That's how I release what this toxicity that needs to be purged is. For some of you, this can be inner child work or inner child healing. It could also see you finding or getting a need to create, to have more fun. And this can be through sex and sensuality. Your body is a gift. And in order for you to nourish that body, you have to give it all of the pleasurable experiences. And sometimes that is connecting to another human being, getting a little down and dirty, if you know what I mean. I'm such a dork. I'm sorry. But you get it, right? So Saturn squaring the nodes and the sun and the moon. Saturn is in your 8th house. I actually like Saturn in the 8th because it restricts and it limits. It's limiting some of the more sort of harsh aspects of that 8th house. So, you know, it's helping you be bolder by restricting your fear. It's helping you be more powerful by highlighting to you where you've given your power away or where you're giving it. And it's saying, no, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to let you stay silent where you usually would. I'm not going to let you hang back. I'm going to force you to speak up. I'm going to force you to not do the Cancerian thing where you just bite it down and then seethe about it later. And, you know, I know, right? I'm a moon sign Cancer. So yeah. This could also be you purging the fear that you have connected to pleasure and romance. And it could also, because the nodes are squaring the 5th and the 11th, it's about how you interact with people on a creative level, and also how you share your creative stuff with the world or not, because you're afraid of how it's going to be received or how it's going to be perceived. We don't worry about that. We create, we do our thing, we put it out into the world, and people will either love us for it or they'll hate us for it. That's not important. What is important is that your unique contribution gets out into the world. If you didn't see the stuff that I did with Denise Matthew just recently, it was brilliant, even if I say so myself, because she brought a whole different dimension to what we talked about. In many ways, this might have asked you to be honest about the groups that you're tied to and whether they're the right ones, right? So you could be looking around at some of the people you're connected to and say, okay, you know what? No, this doesn't work. The luminaries rule your 1st and 2nd houses. So this is showing you where the tension between your best creative and passionate self and your most relatable self are trying to get your attention. Because they want different things from you. All right, I hope that makes sense. Sun sextile Mars and Neptune for you guys. This is happening in the 11th and the 9th. I kind of feel this might be a fated connection that comes in for you, or at least reveals bigger plans, hopes and goals that you already have the talents for. Right, you don't need anything to activate this stuff. You've already got it. You're just not using it out of that potential sort of, I don't know how this is going to be received. And it's easy for me to say on this side of the screen with like 7 years of having his ugly mug in front of a camera. But in the early days, I can assure you, I felt the same way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I totally felt the same way. There were a lot of times where I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Just keep that as a consideration. All right, Pluto trine the North Node and the Sun, and that Mercury retrograde dissociated in the next house. Pluto in the 7th, Sun and North Node in the 11th, and the Mercury retrograde. This is a chance to connect to old friends and colleagues, and it might see you connecting to a larger community. And I kind of get the feeling that this is you landing among your peers or really discovering your tribe. And that could be really, really nice at this point. So for Leo, forgive me, my it's just a figure of speech, lovely. My ascendant brothers and sisters, Leo, this is happening in your 4th house. Your home, family and roots are being highlighted, as are all of the things in your life that relate to where you live. This could show up weirdly enough as some kind of issue in the property. So this is really funny, right? When I got back from my holiday, if you're on my socials, you saw some of the stuff that I posted about being away in Wales and all the rest of it. And like literally 2 days after I got home, the lady downstairs was like, we've got sewage spilling all out over the floor outside and there's a problem with the plumbing and everything. And I was just like, yeah, that eclipse in the 4th house is coming through strong, coming through spicy. So I found that really interesting, and that was like a week out. I'm pretty sure everybody else felt this one coming as well. I know I definitely have, right up to and including. If you didn't see the beginning of the video, check it out. So on a more interpersonal level, this is a time for you to purge what is toxic, unhealed or congealed, and this means old emotional states, old pain, old trauma from your upbringing, from you know, this can be where a lot of this stuff comes to the surface now, and this can be really, really deep, guys. You know, it could be really deep. You could really be feeling this on a very potent level, because it's like, okay, you know what? I'm feeling this because it's about where you come from, how you got here. It can also be a time to let go and transform in a very profound way. If you've had any deep or psychological challenges, old hurts and wounds that might have affected how you live now, how you live your life, you know, that 2016 energy could be a time where the whole cycle now comes to an end, but you're doing this in a crescendo of intensity. Scorpio is about transformation and healing. It's not just dark, it's not just awful, it truly can be transformational. And this can be a time where you rise from the ashes of who you are. You're no longer that sort of hurt, scared, battered, abused child. You have agency. You're an adult. You can stand up for yourself. You can own yourself. You can speak up on your behalf. This is a chance to rewrite all of this stuff, guys. You got to take it. If you're willing to go into the fear, to acknowledge the wound or the trauma, and then say, okay, I'm feeling this really powerfully in my body, and I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to fight with it. I'm not going to judge myself for it. I'm not going to hurt myself because of it. I'm just going to let this shit go. All right. I have found that for fourth house stuff to be released, the secret ingredient is forgiveness. All right. And I will second and third that. If you want to heal your fourth house, if you're a Leo ascendant and you want to let go of some of this stuff, forgive it. Forgive yourself, forgive other people and all the rest of it. Just put that forgiveness energy out in as much power as you possibly can to release it. Mars conjunct Neptune. The energy of the spiritual warrior is giving you the tempered braveness that you need to really get a handle on this healing that's taking place for you. So there's like an energy dynamo to this, yeah, which is kind of rather you, it's really asking or demanding of you that you release this, okay? And then that moon trine Mars and Neptune, it's an aspect that's a bit more freely flowing. Remember, this is a water trine as well, so allowing it to flow. Water does not like to be stagnant unless it's ice. You know, and I see Scorpio as ice, but this is a time to thaw it out, right? We can't hold on to it anymore. Between the 4th and the 8th, something profound can shift if you do this by talking to a trusted friend or an advisor. It could then all the better. It might also be work that's required to speak it, to get it out. The healing light that flows in because of this can be really powerful, really immense, because Neptune is spiritual. Neptune and Mars is spiritual bravery. All right, so this is being brave enough to release something or to let it go. Saturn squaring those nodes. Saturn is in your so your career and your home stuff is kind of being pulled apart and put together at the same time. This whole energy has been duking it out for a while and might be around for a while yet to come. Your luminary, the sun, is currently in your 10th house. So this is really, your career is demanding more attention, but the full moon is highlighting what it's cost you in your home and your family. And so this might be a time where you're kind of having to say, okay, this is where my career takes me away from my family. This is where I'm having to give so much in order to in order to maintain my own status quo, let's say. And then on top of that, this could be a challenge to the health of the mother or a grandmother in some way. I really hope I'm wrong on that front. Sun sextile Mars and Neptune. This is between the 10th and the 8th. career opportunities show up for you at the moment, and they feel like they're fated or blessed in some way. This is where maybe somebody takes a shine to you and says, look, I want to help you out here. And this literally happened for me just yesterday. I heard words yesterday that I had probably convinced myself that I didn't need to hear anymore. And when I did, it was so powerful and so profound and so magical. And it really gave me the boost that I needed to kind of say, yeah, you know what, keep pushing, Rafi. This could also be a nice boost to the finances that comes through the career. Whatever it is, it's going to be a piece of the puzzle for making more money from others in some way at a later date. And then finally for you guys, Pluto trine the North Node and the Sun, and obviously that Mercury retrograde. This is transforming the way that you live your life on that sort of day-to-day level, but it's been demanding you to get really serious, to work hard, sometimes relentlessly, right? Like really just to keep pushing. And then it sounds like Saturn, doesn't it? Yes, because it's in the sign of Capricorn. Trine to the Sun in the North and the North Node and that retro. This is the results and the rewards that come after hard efforts that have been sown already. So this can be career moves or opportunities that come up from here on in that completely turn your life upside down, but they could be amazing. And then finally, to say Leo is a fixed sign. So Leo as a fixed sign, your sibling signs are really getting hammered. So the fixed signs have been through it. And with these eclipses, it's all of that, right? But this is about change, and whatever bubbles up from the depths of you, that is what's, you know, you're being asked to really consider as movement right now. So bear with me just a second. I just need to get my charger, because if I don't, I'm sure my laptop's gonna, my iPad is gonna die, and then you guys will be like, no, he left us hanging at such a crucial moment. Bring Rafi back. So I'm just getting my my charger. Sorry, I'm waffling like a crazy person. Charger. Let's plug that in. All right. Ooh. The iPad's been drinking. Okay. Let's pop that in there. Okay. So that way we're not at danger of running out of battery. Okay, so for Virgo, this for you guys is happening in the 3rd house. I really feel like this is going to give you a much deeper understanding on where you're going to start to be a bit more measured in your approach. Things that really like feel like they're you listening to your deeper desires around the way that you are heard. So how people sort of view you, how you communicate with people. It's also going to be gathering and gaining information in that very Virgoan way that you do. But to do what your sibling sign is known for, to recognize the patterns. So this eclipse for you, it could be great because you're with Mercury retrograde. You might be rethinking either a career approach or like your not only your day-to-day experience. Like I really like this, not only the Mercury retrograde, but also this full moon for you, for really thinking about, you know, editing your website, really thinking about if you're actually ever going to write anything or starting to create some sort of booklet or work, you know, like really just getting into things that you're ready to offer the world. Anything that your voice is a part of is coming up with this eclipse. Moon trine Mars and Neptune. So this is good for growth and energy and passion. But the energy and passion that you need is coming from other people. So this is going to give you faith, conviction to be brave enough to work on something that will eventually see the world head on or face first. So it's like whatever you're doing here, it is eventually going to be sort of out there in the world in some way. The spiritual dynamo for you, Mars conjunct Neptune, is happening in your 7th house. This could be you find the courage, energy and passion and drive that you need through other people, through your partner, through your relationship. And it's like your partner could really encourage you to step up, to move forward with something, or even to help you define the message that you want to bring out into the world, which is gorgeous. I really like that. And so for those of you that are single, if you're thinking, well, I don't have a partner, this could be that one shows up. It could be that a business partner or even a colleague at work. You know, we spend so much time at work that, you know, when we say like work wife, work husband, you know, it could be somebody like that that fulfills that role. It could just as easily be a really close friend. Sun square in the nodes and the luminaries, Saturn in the 6th house has probably given you no quarter when it comes to not only your physical health and vitality, but also it's probably been quite tough on how much you've been expected to get done in a day. It's like, okay, we need another me because I just can't, you know, it's like I literally don't have enough hours in the day. And with the nodes in your 3rd and 9th, this might be you feeling the tension to expand your knowledge and your horizons, but the daily grind is kind of keeping you sort of in doing what needs to be done. So it's like, you know, how am I going to get these things out there if I've always got so much to do? The luminaries ruling your 11th and 12th houses, but in your 3rd and 9th are your attention's being brought to the future and how the world is opening up for you specifically, which is really nice. It might also be that the moon is highlighting what you need to let go of or even outsource in order to reach the potential that you're aiming for. The sun in the 9th can also see you connecting more powerfully to the universe at the time. So if you ask for that, ask for a message, right? Ask for just to say, look, you know what, I need help here. And maybe you can't afford it at the moment, or maybe, you know, you don't really know if you can trust anybody with these new ideas and stuff that you've got. Ask them, say, guys, you know what, I need help here. You know, where can I find this help? And see what and who shows up. Sun, sextile Mars and Neptune, the spiritual dynamo between and is activating with the 7th and the 9th. You've got so much support at this time. I know at the moment, like I said, you're under it and you're truly crazy busy, but you have so much support if you open up for it. I really like, it's not going to be a cakewalk, but of all the signs, I think this one is probably one of the lightest. For Pluto, trine the North Node and the Sun, and then that Mercury dissociation is giving all kinds of deep energy to change something that has bothered or plagued you for some time, which is fantastic. Might be that with your ruler in the mix as well in that dissociated trine, you could be about to share something personal with the world through your work or your career, and it really it could really not only humanize you, but it could really help people get a deeper understanding of who you are and how, do you know what I mean? Like how you really present to the world, you know, through who you actually are and how you present yourself. But it's like, oh, okay, there's this other dimension to this person. And now that I know that, it kind of, I feel closer to them in some way. So that's really nice. All right. For Libra, this is happening for you guys in the 2nd house of your Mohani. This is for you guys. That it's funny because I've put here that it's the 2nd half of a story. So in your 2nd house, this is the releasing of what you valued up until now. But it's also been the way that you truly see yourself succeeding in your financial goals and desires. So what you've been working on or towards in terms of resources and wealth now get like a really sort of nice, you know, not even do-over, like they get highlighted in some way. So this could be that something comes to fruition. This could be that you're asked to consider what needs to be released in order to grow financially. So this might be a moment where, you know, maybe you have a conversation with someone and you're like, wow, yeah, actually, you know what? Like I'm doing this thing and it's costing me so much money, and actually I could be using that for something way better. How has or does money control your life or your world, and what are you prepared to give in order to ensure that it no longer does? Right? Moon trine Neptune and Mars. So this could trigger some sort of, I want to say like day-to-day work stuff. And it might be that the spiritual dynamo gets you fired up and helps you understand how your body is storing your challenges to your resources. Money blocks are real, right? Money blocks are real. Financial challenges or issues are real. But when we store that stuff in our body, we don't realize that that's part of the energy that we exude. And so if you have that kind of stuff, because of this eclipse, it could be revealed to you. You know, if you had a pain in one of your shoulders, or has one of your feet always been kind of a little bit near, that might be where you're, I'm not a doctor or a medical professional, but that might be where you're storing some of your financial stuff. And that might need to be the thing that needs to be healed or cleared in order for you to move forward financially. Could also be the forming of an unpopular opinion about money or around work that needs to be heard but might get a little bit heated. A partner, friend, family member or business collaborate might help you formulate an idea that you can work on for the future. Mars conjunct Neptune, the spiritual dynamo, as I'm calling it, is happening in your area of the body, which means that energy can be a little bit less than usual. But here's the thing, if you can get into an activity that you really dislike, you could, like, this is a place where you could get probably the most benefit. So as an example, if you are the sort of person that's really tight but you don't like to stretch, you could get a lot out of that right now. For me, it's running. Oh my gosh, I hate running. But you know what? When I start it and I build up to it, I'm actually quite good at it. Which I never forget when I realized that at like the age of, I think I was 32 at that point. I was like, oh, I'm slim. And now that I'm slim, I can run. We need to get back to that, Raf. All jokes aside, stretch, work the body, cleanse the body, and do all of this with the channeled focus of the spiritual warrior. That Mars and Neptune energy for you is really going to show you how, if you focus on the energy, the universal energy, and you move that through your body and you're prepared to do the physical work, magical things can happen. Saturn squaring the nodes and the sun and the moon. Saturn in the 5th is literally no fun. Like, not like, oh, figure of speech, no fun. Like, it's literally Saturn restricts, holds back, stops you from getting fun, pleasure, romance, enjoyment, right? Is the 5th house. So Saturn in the fun is like literally no fun. You might feel like you've forgotten how to laugh, how to breathe, what joy looks like and feels like, because it's just been this relentless slog. That's because it's asking you actually to make those things a priority. All right, so it's like, I'm going to hold this back from you, so it's not so easy to get joy, it's not so easy to get pleasure, so that you get serious about claiming that for yourself, so that you get serious about showing up for yourself in those areas of life that bring you joy and pleasure. If you don't make it a responsibility, do you know what I mean? Like, it just won't be there. In your second and in your 8th house and your second houses, it's about resources and how you see yourself through other people's eyes and the desires that you have to change that, to change how people see you. Considerations around intimacy. There could be newfound reverence for yourself. And this could also be a time to think about tapping more into manifesting powers. Don't use the eclipse. It's too much of a energy, and this eclipse in general you wouldn't want to use. So, but really start thinking about, you know, how do you manifest? Are you putting time, effort and energy into that? Are you taking my new manifesting course? Goes live on the 7th of June, just in case you're interested. But all jokes aside, the luminaries for you rule the 11th and the 10th. So career matters are being highlighted to your attention. Eclipses are change points, so you need to be aware that shifts are going to happen in this space for you. Sun sextiling Mars and Neptune. This is 6th house, 8th house stuff. you might get a really deep desire to change your physical reality or to enhance it in some way. I really like this for upgrading your psychological makeup, especially if you're doing like really good work every day, you know, little and often. 5 minutes a day where you're doing your gratitude work, 5 minutes a day where you're sending healing vibes to your body. You know, like things like that, if you start to build them up in little ways, they can have really profound effects on the stuff that you want to see results from. And then for Pluto trine the North Node and the Sun and Mercury, this is a really nice change that comes to the home, but it comes through other people and their resources. If you're partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, your partner could bring more to the home in the way of resources, maybe even gifts. However, it could also be the end of a very turbulent or emotional sort of time for you at the homestead. Could also be a very sensitive moment for family stuff, but so healing. And with the Mercury retrogrades trine to this as well, you're able to rise above it, to find a deeper meaning in all of it. And you know what? You need to share that. Don't just sit on it. Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. This is all about you guys. This is about you. It's about your mind, your body, your physical self, your physical sense. It's also a strong indication that things are coming to your world that are about change. Yeah, Scorpio is absolutely about secrets. So if you want to see this in that way, this is a time of revelation. I talked about that right at the beginning. And so this will be coming up for all of us in some way, for sure. So Scorpio, it's intense, and for a change, I put a little joke in here. I'm not sure how this is going to be received, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you are a Scorpio, if you are a Scorpio sun, moon, or ascendant, the intensity that you're feeling right now is sometimes how everybody receives you. Right? So I know a lot of Scorpios are like, I'm gonna find this dude. I'm gonna find him, I'm gonna do him some damage. I love you guys, you know I do. You know I love Scorpio energy. Right, but this is a purge point. It's a release point, if ever there was one. Your actual body, how does it feel? What do you feel like you are truly ready to release at this moment in time? What does your mind say is no longer working? What does your spirit conclude is over and is ready to be cleansed by fire? This is something that you guys really need to pay attention to right now, because your mind, your body, and your spirit, this is happening in your sign. So this is like the universe saying, what are you ready to purge and release right now? And how are you ready to sort of level up? That being said, whatever happens in the first house, I believe, I love that you guys love the joke. I love you. The fact that this is happening in your first house, you have kind of like a little, not total, but you have a little modicum of control of how this eclipse can go for you. All right, so, you know, pay attention to what the self is really telling you right now. Moon trine Neptune and Mars. This is going to be, so the spiritual dynamo for you is happening in the 5th house. A joyous, wonderful connection can be yours now. This could be a romance of some sort that shows up where you just feel like, wow, you know what? This is pretty magical. This is pretty awesome. It may also be a time where as well, your ability or your desire to control relationships in order to keep them functioning, you know, there's always a reason with Scorpio, but you can let that go now. It's kind of like it melts away and you're like, okay, you know what? I don't need to steer the ship. The ship's going to go where it may. I'm just going to enjoy the ride with my other half. It can be a profound time of healing through music, through art. Happy Pride, Ben. Lovely to see ya. It can be a profound time of healing through creativity and through your children if you have them. If not, again, maybe some inner child work. A realization as well could set in with this powerfully right now. That, you know, you might look at your kids and say, wow, you know what, one day the apron strings are going to be cut. I mean, unless you're anything like my nana, God love her, she always says like, oh, no, my children are my children. It's like it doesn't matter how old we are, you know, like I guess you never stop being a parent, right? And so, but there could be a point at which you look at your kids, if you have them, and say, wow, you know what, like they're getting to that age now where I am going to have to sort of stand back a bit and let them get on with it. Mars conjunct Neptune. You're being asked to consider wisdom in all of your speculative gambles right now. So the body could be signaling to you that it's ready for higher forms of love and worship, and that can be really profound. Nobody does tantra, nobody does sex and sensuality like the Scorpios. Why? Because you're not afraid of it. Because, you know, Scorpios are not prudish in any way. You can talk to them about everything and everything. And for that reason, you know, like we laugh about like the Marvin Gaye song Sexual Healing, but this could literally be a time where you're tapping into something like that. Sex, sensuality can be a truly transcendent experience right now. It really could. And, you know, if that's not the case and you don't have a partner, this could be through creativity. It can be film, it can be TV, it can be all manner of arty and creative things. If it's none of those for you and you think, oh, well, you know, Raf, I don't really connect to any of that, that's okay. Find something that does feel like it generates an energy of creativity and transcendence within you and latch onto that thing. And expect that this might bring, you know, a little bit of the feels, because, you know, we've got to be, you know, for the first time in a long time, we've got to be a bit delicate with our Scorpio people and our Scorpio placements right now, because those places are currently, you know, they're really, really sensitive. Now, Saturn square in the nodes for you guys. This is present for a little while longer, a little while, you know, more than is comfy, happening between your first house, your seventh house, and with Saturn playing anchor to all of this. It could be about how you identify with the world and what you bring to it. It could also be how you're seen by others. And then that Saturn energy there, it's like been pounding the need to retreat out of you. So you might have been sort of wanting to retreat a bit more, wanting to kind of, oh, you know what, I just want to hide, I just want to pull myself away. And it's like, no, it's relentless. You're having to show up, you're having to be present. And it's like, whoa, you know, there ain't no days off right now. The luminaries for you ruling of the 9th and the 10th, respectively. Sorry, no, that's not right. But I've put here your attention's being brought to where you could play a supporting role to a partner and really help or assist them, which is actually really nice. Sun, sextile Mars and Neptune. So loving this for you guys. All right. Really loving this for you guys, because it's all kinds of new partnerships, new connections that not only seem fated, but they really lift your spirits. It's like new people are showing up for you now that really feel like they elevate you in some way. And also it makes you feel like whatever battles you're challenging, like are challenging you right now, you're not alone with them, right? There's support around you. Pluto, your modern ruler, trine the Sun and the North Node between the 3rd and the 7th. Harmony through speaking about how you feel, deciding to change or utilize your skills and connections in ways that are supportive and powerful. So this could really see you digging into what makes you special, what makes you unique, and how are you now ready to start sharing that with the world. It could also bring as well, with that Mercury retrograde dissociated trine, it could be that you feel like, or rather an old partner comes back for resolution, probably not connection. And the message is that by sharing some of your own stuff and not just calling others out for their BS, some of yours can be healed too. All right. So I hope that helps you guys. For Sagittarius, Saggy. So this one for you is a big deal as well. This for you guys is happening in the 12th house. And I gotta say, an eclipse in the 12th is about as deep as it gets, right? This is an eclipse in the 12th is serious. It's a test. It's a reset in some way, shape or form. Cindy, Miss Carrasquillo, lovely to see you. Thank you for being here. So yeah, this is the breaking of binds and the breaking of bonds. All right. The releasing of crap, basically the shifting of the ties that bind. And it's also a time, if you were ever going to go through like an ego death, this is going to be that moment. All right. So you got to be gentle with yourself. You've got to be self-care to the extreme right now. This is a full moon lunar eclipse. So that eclipse is shining light into the deepest part of you, your past, your privacy, who you are on the inside, who, you know that spiky ball that I talked about us all having at the base of our consciousness. This is shining a light on that so that it gets to open up and kind of say, this is all the stuff that you've held on to. This is all the stuff that you have collected over the years, your broken dreams, your hurts, your pains, your moments of loss and possibly even despair, right? This is shining a light on that. And the beauty of this is a full moon in the full moon lunar eclipse in the 12th house. It's like opening up your personal closet. You got your gloves on, you got your bleach at the ready, you got your headscarf on. I mean, my flowing locks, I can't, risk those getting damaged. Right? It's like going into that deepest part of you to really say, okay, you know what? I'm going to clear this space out. I'm going to allow this space in me to be cleansed. This could be whatever your self-defeating actions are. All of your vices, maybe, your self-talk as well. This can all be magnified at this time. So you have to be, Scorpio and Sagittarius especially, you guys really need to be so gentle with yourselves right now. Salt baths, soak your feet in Epsom salts, get those essential oils out, things that really kind of really support your body and your system so that you can experience what you're experiencing. Exercise patience and clarity. Scorpio is about purging, and this is bringing a full moon, like I said, a full moon's light into that depth of your soul. And by shining light into that space, you're allowing yourself to get into your hurts, your wounds, and your baggage in a way that is like, okay, you know what, I see this and it does need cleansing, it does need healing, but I'm not going to berate myself or beat myself up anymore. That moon trying to Mars and Neptune, you've got the spiritual dynamo pushing you to reconnect with your homeland, with your ancestors. The very fabric of what's gone into creating who you are is calling you home. All right. So whatever that means to you, Saggy, even if that means going back to the place that you grew up in, just to touch down there for a minute, if that gives you an anchor to recenter you in some way. Home doesn't always have to be a place either. Sometimes it can be a person. I've got friends like that, when I think of them, I think, wow, you know what? That's home. That feeling that you get from, eclipse in the 4th house for me. So this is a big trigger point. But find what that means to you and hold it for a second. All right? Like just hold it for a moment. This is very deep. It's very introspective because it's 12th house, fourth house stuff for you guys. And so this is about not only your past, but it's also about your home as well and what forms you. All right. So this could be really potent. And it will also bring true healing and realization for a lot of you. Past parental challenges and issues might come up. It might be intense, but it's a time of healing. And so I wouldn't be surprised as well for those of you that have lost family members if you're having dreams and visions or visitations from them, remember eclipses are, you know, the veil between our world and their world is thin right now. So if you're having dreams and visions about people that have passed, this could be that time, right? It would not be a surprise to me at all. Mars conjunct Neptune in that 4th house. Magic can happen because Mars and Neptune are making you determined to build new traditions, to find new light, to create a new home, to create a new family. It could also be where you're more about your so for me the 4th house is more about your legacy than the 10th house, because the 10th house is the stuff that you do for yourself. So yes, it's your legacy out in the world, but your 4th house is the legacy that you leave for your loved ones, for your children, for your partner, for your, you know, your home, for your roots, for the what went into creating who you are. Do you know what I mean? This is also a time where you may be truly leaving something behind for your lineage, whether that's lineage by blood or bond. All right, so deep stuff, and you know, I know you guys are always ready. So Saturn square in the nodes and the luminaries for you. Saturn's probably been really making you work a lot harder on that day-to-day level as well. It might also be that, you know, how you look after yourself or don't is being highlighted right now. Do you know what I mean? So you're having to really look at this and say, okay, I haven't really looked after myself as much as I could have. And, you know, this could be highlighted to you. Your attention is now being brought to the balance and your attention is now on the need for balance and negotiation between how you look after your body and how you heal your mind, body and soul. So give yourself a break, but be honest about where you do or don't look after yourself. All right. Wishing all of you that are in and out periodically, sorry, it's just because if I get distracted by the chat, I'll never get through all of these, but I will stick around at the end to have a little conflab with all of you as well. All right. So your Sun sextile Mars and Neptune, this is giving you the opportunity to change the home, but not yet. You've got stuff to do where you're at, so you can't run away. You're having to close things down. You're having to really get everything prepared. And the reason you're doing this, or it's being held back from you, is so that you close things down properly. And then you move forward and say, right, okay, now that I'm moving, now that I'm changing my location, I can do this from a place where you can kind of say, you know what, I'm not taking the baggage with me. Wherever I go from here, I go as a new person. I go as a cleansed person. I go as who I decide to be, not who my history had told me that I had to be. All right, you got this, Saggies, you got this. For the Pluto trine the North Node, Sun, Mercury in retrograde. So Pluto in the 2nd has been doing good things for your money, but it won't give anything else until you get clear on what wealth means to you. Pluto, believe it or not, loves to bring wealth. Pluto is like, yeah, I'll bring you that wealth. The word Pluto itself actually means wealth or riches, I believe. I'm not sure what it completely equates to, but I know in Greek, which is part of my heritage, the word plusios means rich, you know, means wealthy. So if you've got Pluto moving through that 2nd house, he's saying, I'll bring you wealth, but you need to tell me what that looks like for you. You have to get specific about what wealth means to you. It might be more money. It might be more stuff. It might be a happy home. Like, what does being wealthy truly mean to you, Sagittarius? The second you decide what that is in specific, it will start to show up for you. You got to be getting real and honest, getting a real and honest look at what you value, and it's revealed to you through your daily habits, which is really nice. So the trine to Mercury in retro, which is dissociated, talking about and sharing with a partner or a trusted confidant might really help. Realizations about your desires are coming up, and that's never a bad thing, because when we know what they are, and I said this right at the beginning, when we know what our true deepest desires are, we're aware of where our motivations are coming from. And when we know that, they stop tripping us up because we can see it, and more importantly, they can come true. Capricorn, my dear Capricorns. All right, in this place for you, this is the 11th house. All right. I love it. Someone's just mentioned my big fat Greek wedding. I get it. I get it. So for you, Capricorn, this eclipse is taking place in the 11th house. Your connection to the world through your group associations absolutely shows up here. This might be how your understanding of how you fit into society and the whole. And for you, I kind of feel this, I don't know why, even though this is the 11th house for you, I really feel like this is going to bring you guys career growth. It's like something about this is it's gonna really bring that up. It's like how it's like you're also letting go how others see you or how others really are. You're releasing that, and it has a really profound effect on you. This is also a time where a social media cleansing could be coming up for you. You know, you could be saying, you know what, I'm going to unfollow this group or unfollow that person. If you need to let Rafi go, I love you and I let you go. I hope you don't. But, you know, if there are things and stuff that you feel, you know what, I need to stop following this. Maybe it's that time, right? You're doing that purge, you're doing that release. It might also be a time where you're looking at how your group associations and your friendships speak for you. So, you know, when somebody says, oh, you know, this group does this, this, and this, and it's like, oh, well, I'm a part of that group. And then you see sort of through other people's eyes how you are viewed through this. Do you know what I mean? So that could be really powerful as well. All right, I've put here as well, I wouldn't be surprised if this brings a difference of opinions between friends, and maybe for, you know, really long-term friends as well. Could be a time of purging friendships, a time of purging social connections, and also a removal of certain social groups within the digital or online sphere. Moon, trine, Mars and Neptune. The spiritual dynamo for you is in the 3rd house. It's getting you prepared to find the words that you need in order to say them to a friend or a family member, or at least lessen a connection. So because there are sort of some connections being released here in friendships, in groups, etc., the spiritual dynamo of Mars and Neptune in that 3rd house is giving you, maybe even helping you channel the words that you need to set a boundary, to be clear on something, to make something a bit more sort of honest and open. It's also being done through open and honest communication, and it's good because Mars is having the edges smoothed over, so it might not have to be quite as you know, as you expect it might be. Sun squaring the nodes and the luminaries. Your ruler has been in the 2nd, so this is the place of money and resources. Not always easy, even when you are sort of ruled by that planet. But we get what we need, right? Even if we don't like it, even if we don't want it, right? We get what we need. So benefactors and the place of romance and creativity and love is being highlighted for you. Been a lot on your shoulders, Capricorns. There has been a lot for you guys, and you know, whether this is with children or other sort of burdens that have been quite heavy, it really does, it kind of sees you looking at everything and saying, what is the worth and the value that I'm getting from this? And more importantly, where am I feeding into what is good and where am I feeding into what is not so good? The luminaries for you rule the 7th and the 8th. Which means your attention's being brought to partnerships and intimacy. Are they in the place that you want them to be, or are they not? And if they are, good things will get better. If they're not, the reason behind them are going to get much clearer. And that could be really, really great. Where you need to take more time for love, romance, sex, sensuality is all being highlighted for you. And it might be as well where you're... where you need to make more time for those things, you know, and being really honest about your situation and where you're unfulfilled or where you are. And if you are fulfilled in that area of life, this is about, you know, opening up and speaking more about it. The Sun sextile Mars and Neptune. This is an opportunity to get into the romance of your dreams. Dreams. I'm gonna take you out of church this Sunday. Sorry. Such a dork. Right, this could also be a chance for new children. So if you want children, this might be a time where, you know, especially if you've had a time that feels like it's barren, where it's like, you know what, we've been trying for ages and it just doesn't seem to be happening. This could be a time where that period of your life comes to an end and suddenly you find yourself very fertile. You know what I'm saying? Old opportunities for old ideas could come. What I like about this as well is old approaches that once haven't worked could work for new things that show up for you now. And you might think to yourself, like, hang on a sec, why is, you know, like I tried this before, it didn't work, but actually it's, you know, it's really the thing that we need right now, which could be great. Pluto is currently in your sign. This is giving you a look at what you haven't made enough of a priority and where someone may have felt slighted because of your actions. So this might be a time where you get to look at something and say, yeah, okay, you know what, maybe I could have handled that a bit better. As it's a trine, the past is coming up and that Mercury retrograde involved, it's giving you, it's helping you get back into looking after yourself and not identifying yourself so much through other people. So I actually feel like this could be bringing a sense of independence in a sense, which is really actually quite nice. All right. Aquarius, my sun sign brothers and sisters, it is your turn. This for you guys is happening in your career, so in your 10th house. In a sense, this is kind of a juxtaposition. So let's look at, like what I've put here is, let's look at the facts of it. Scorpio is a hidden sign, right? It's about secrets and depth and things that happen behind the scenes and kind of all of that. It's quite a hidden sort of energy. And so this, when you see it, like your career is the most sort of, you know, most outward facing part of the chart. It's how people see you sort of like in your public persona. And so the fact that you've got a Scorpio 10th house, usually Aquarians tend to play like a supporting role. They work really hard on things. They do really well in the career, but they play it, the career tends to play out in a behind the scenes kind of manner. All right. And so when we see that, this eclipse is putting a spotlight on you. So it's kind of highlighting the part of you that you sort of tend to hide. Do you know what I mean? So that could be really nice in a lot of ways. It's a good chance for you to see where you are in your social standing and why. So that could be really nice. It's also a time where a job could be ending because something else is coming in. A career that you've had for a lot of years could be coming to a close now, so that something new or something else could be coming in. This is an honest and powerful look at your social status. If you're married and the relationship is on the rocks or having challenges, maybe it's a possibility. You could be going from partnered to single, but it doesn't have to be that. This is, remember, Scorpio is a sign of death, so it could be that, but it's only like if your relationship is already on the rocks and really badly, yes, this eclipse might activate that for you, but you know, that's usually in extreme cases. So, you know, just consider if you're one of those. This is also highlighting your career and legacy in or to the world. You're given a deep understanding of what you've done or haven't is highlighted. So where you've done the work or where you haven't done the work to really get yourself out there is being highlighted for you. I really like this for understanding who you are to people when you're not in the room. All right, who you are to people when nobody is looking. This is a powerful energy in this eclipse for you, Aquarius. So sun, moon or ascendant. How do people talk about you when you're not present? What do they really say about you? This could be one of those moments, and it could be the universe giving you a nudge to say, you're getting some good results, but it's not as big as you want because you're not really doing that hard sort of work, right? Oh, okay. So Mars trine, Moon trine Mars and Neptune. The spiritual dynamo for you is happening in your second house. This is great for your finances and your money, and the gains from your career could also be like you might be able to see here as well what's hurting or halting your progress, and then you could remove it. I think this is also you seeing the impediments to your ideas and your dreams. Once you kind of get once you get your sort of stuff clear in here, it's like, okay, that can be removed now because that's what's holding my results up. Mars is giving you a lot to say right now. You're the ruler of your third house is in the second. This could be that your words, Aquarius, are powerfully healing for other people. This could be where you know, something that you say, words that you give. This is part of the reason that I decided to put this out, you know, today as a live. Accusatory. Not in the slightest, Cassandra. I'm an Aquarius sun, so I'm speaking to myself here too. Mars conjunct Neptune, the spiritual dynamo in your second house, is harmonizing and spiritualizing your money, which means it's giving you a deeper understanding of your gifts, your talents, and your skills, and what those are actually worth. For those of you that are business owners, maybe you're putting your prices up right now. For those of you that are employed, maybe you're going in for the raise. Maybe you're showing up and saying, actually, you know what? This is where I need to really to show up more for myself. You know, and then the caveat here is that you'll only get the extra money if you believe in your worth, in that soul level, right? Mars and Neptune, the spiritual warrior. You have to genuinely believe in your being that you can have those big results, that you can have those big rewards, those big Benjamins, right? If you want that, you've really got to you got to tap into that Mars Neptune stuff. And then finally, for this part of it, you're being given a glimpse at how your actions are destined to succeed and what those actions must be. That's really nice. For the Saturn square in the nodes for you guys, Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius. I'm sure you're all aware. So it's an energy that we know. It doesn't necessarily make it any easier. What this also means, though, is that you're having to be in more integrity. You're having to work twice as hard as anybody else. You're also, this is hardening you. It's making you more strong. It's making you more powerful, but it's also making you stronger in some way. Saturn crystallizes, and so therefore it's crystallizing you as an Aquarius sun, moon, or ascendant. And, you know, because it's squaring the nodes in your fourth house, your fourth and 10th houses, respectively, this is you trying to push forward and recreate yourself. But the career wants one thing, the home wants another, and you're trying to look at it and say, okay, how do I balance these things out and still sort of stay, you know, focused on what it is that I'm looking for? The luminaries for you rule the 6th and the 7th. So your attention's currently drawn to home and career matters, but it's through your daily efforts, your day-to-day routines. And it's also about working smarter, not necessarily harder. So, you know, that could be nice. It's also about giving the best of you, Aquarius, to your own endeavors. All right, so a partner could kind of look at you and say, you know what, I see you going for everything that you want. I see you going for, you know, to try to build yourself up now, taking some time for you. You're damn right, and it is about time. It could also, for those of you that are single, you might meet a partner through your through the work that you do or through your local area, which could be cool. For your Sun, sextile, Mars and Neptune, this is second house, fourth house stuff for you. And so those who work from home or work with homes and property or real estate, etc., you could do very well right now. If you're looking to change home, this could be that the Mars and Neptune energy is saying it's time for you to cut the bonds and ties of karma to the place that you are from. This is a really interesting one for me personally. I was saying this on the video that I did with Denise Matthew just recently. No matter how many times I've moved away from my hometown, I still find myself coming back here. Like, I'm like, what is going on? There's obviously a tie or a bond here that I need to cut, and I am in the process of doing so. So I've put here that this could be a time where you're cutting the bonds and separating from your karma of place. You know, of home, possibly of family for some of you, in order to make some real money to push on or forward. There's a home change coming, and in order to do so, you need to cut the cords. There's cleanup to be done here. And I cannot even tell you, like the other day, that message came through for me in a dream in ways that I can't even, I'm not going to get into here. Pluto trine the North Node and the Sun and that Mercury retrograde. This is purging your life cycle, and your karmic magic is being woven around you. This could be a moment of really deep healing at a soul level, and it might also bring a peaceful but intense resolution to something on a much deeper level for you, especially when it comes to like family and stuff. It's also a deep crevice within you that is being healed, and if you have any, it heals your money blocks. Like whatever you're healing within yourself, it heals your ability to create and generate more resources for your life path. And then love it. For Pisces, this is all about you. Last but definitely not least, love you muchly. This moon for you, this eclipse is in a gorgeous part of your chart. I love, personally, call me crazy, I love the 8th house and the 9th house transits. I don't know why, but for me personally, the most stuff seems to happen there, and the most change for me on a personal level happens. So I love these transits, I really do. This is happening for you in the 9th house. This is where we connect to the universe in deep and profound ways. Magic happens in this space, and blessings they tend to find us a lot more easily. And this is also the space in which synchronicity shows up for you. This is the time, my dear Pisceans, to drain yourself of other people's stuff. This is the time for you to release, to purge your connections to other people's stuff. This is a time, Pisces is like a giant sponge. And so this is the time for you to wring that sponge out, to get all of other people's energetics and stuff out. And I like this for releasing guilt and shame around sex, sensuality. I like this for you realizing how loved and worthy you truly are. I really like this for seeing how powerful and sort of, you know, fast moving you can become when you really get that channel clear, right? The difference between Scorpio, Pisces and Cancer. Cancer has a powerful intuition because it's a cardinal sign, all right? So, and if you've been with me long enough, you know I believe that Cancer is the most psychic of all the signs. Scorpio struggles with this because they try to control or to permeate things in a sense, all right? And then, oh, come on, brain. Pisces struggles with the intuition because it's too much. It's too much of everything else. But if you can use this to wring out other people's stuff, to allow this full moon lunar eclipse to change your beliefs around spirituality, around religion, about how you connect to the cosmos and God and the universe, if you can allow that to take place for you at this moment in time, you can become more psychic, more powerful, and tap more into flow and synchronicity than you ever have before. Use this moment to purge yourself of where your ideas around faith and belief and spirituality and religion are coming from or have come from somebody else. All right, this is a time to really let go of other people's stuff. The need to travel may come up very suddenly for some of you as a result of this eclipse. Travel and excitement is the ninth house as well, right? And this is blessings and pennies from heaven, honey. So you could be putting yourself into some really nice stuff, but you've got to do the work. All right, this is not just a case of staring into your soul. I'm sorry. It's a habit. I can't help it. All jokes aside, this could be where you become more synchronous and more aligned and more like tapped into what is divinely ordained for you than ever before. Pay attention to gifts that show up, and also pay attention to where you seem to be kind of being pushed or pulled in a certain direction. All right, this is that time. Moon trine Mars for you guys. So the Moon trine Mars conjunct Neptune. This is happening in your sign, and so it's giving you a really strong energy to push forward when you tap into the spirituality. Mars, Neptune, the spiritual warrior, but for me it feels more like a spiritual dynamo. It's like you take that Mars energy and you get that action, that passion, that desire to move, and then when you add the Neptune to it, it's like you take this in a direction, in a soft and slow but very determined way to move forward. It's when you tap into the spirit that movement is happening right now, and that doesn't have to be, you know, this big elaborate spiritual practice. It can just be, you know what, universe, I see you, show me what the path is, show me what the next step is. It doesn't have to be, you know, oh, and going into trances and, you know, 7-day long ceremonies and all of that. It doesn't have to be that. That stuff has its place when it has its place, but it's not here. It can be draining for you, and it can be a release where you're being asked to find. So what I've put here is, if you tap into the spirit, the movement that's happening right now, Neptune softening Mars can be draining, but it's asking you to find a new fuel source. And so if you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to stop trying to push myself and I'm going to channel that divine energy, I'll use the divine source as my fuel source to keep me moving from here on in. Not just to push through, but to connect to your spirit, to who you really are. And by doing so, finding a greater sense of connection to the source of all things. Mars conjunct Neptune for you guys is giving you access. It's giving you a key to a new place, a new home, and that new home that you are being given access to is this. All of this, right? You're being given access to yourself in a very new way. When we're given keys, we're being given access to new things and being given ideas and access to new ways of being and a new source of all things. So Mars, the ruler of your money house, of your second house, conjunct Neptune means that there are new ways of making money from here on in, as long as you find ways to tap into that spiritual wisdom. The full moon is going to reveal to you what you need to do to release and bring those pennies down from heaven, but more importantly, how to get those pennies to stay. All right. Saturn square in the nodes and the luminaries, Saturn in the 12th. It's not so bad. I really like Saturn in the 12th because it's like, again, all of the vices, the challenges, the hidden, etc. Saturn puts a freeze on that and says, okay, you know what? I'm going to make you more accountable and take more responsibility for others, but also for your own past actions. And as such, it puts you in a good space because it's asking you to, it's strengthening you from the inside out. Usually the things that hold you back are now being released slowly but surely. Square to the, cheers Soph, thank you so much, lovely. Square in the nodes in the 3rd and 9th. This is really a look at how you do what you do and why, and it's being revealed to you, and like, even if you don't want to see it, it can still be very healing. The luminaries for you rule the 5th and the 6th houses. This is it bodes well for your romantic connections, especially meeting someone through like the mundane. All right. It's also bringing attention to your ability to making sure your health and fitness are a priority for you. But also because of the time and the energy and the intensity, you could be getting results from those things now faster than ever. And you could be like, How come I wasn't getting these good results before? Sun sextile Mars and Neptune. This is a good time to meet new people, to release old connections. Also a time where opportunities show up, opportunities now through your trust in the universe is really being highlighted to you. And for some of you, this could be a new car on a really mundane level, or a need to repair an old one. It could also be as well that if you've got siblings, you could be spending more time and having more connection with them and relying on each other in more ways than one. So that's cool. And then finally, Pluto trine the North Node, the Sun, and that Mercury retrograde at a dissociated trine. New friends and benefactors are coming in through social media and or group associations. It could be connecting with people who really get you, some from the past and some from the new. And it's like you're getting like a mishmash. It's like you're finding ways to blend your past and your future and your present at this moment in time. I like it for new connections being made in your local area. I also like this for your skill set being relevant in new places. So this is like, you know, skills that maybe you haven't used for a while now suddenly get second wind. And it might be, you know, like, oh yeah, you know, I used to work at a bar, and then you get talking to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, you know, I'm a cocktail maker, or da 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 da. And it's like you find ways to bond with people going forward from things that you've been doing for a long time or did at some time ago in the past. And then that dissociated trine to Mercury, hard conversations that need to be had become easier, which could be really nice. And it could be anything with parents and family gets easier to say or to speak on. Could have a profound effect on your future, because all of this is happening in with the moon trine to your sign. So this could be changes that happen within you are really bringing changes to your entire world and all of the connections in it. All right, there you go. That is the eclipse as I understand it. Guys, it's been my pleasure. I'm going to stick around for another 10 minutes and then I'm going to have to shoot, just because I've got quite a few bits and pieces that I need to do. Talk to me. Are there any questions? Is there anything? Well, obviously there's going to be questions, but just talk to me. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you found it fun. I hope that you found it informative. I hope that it has given you some preparation, and I hope that it has really helped you understand how this may play out for you, right? So here in the UK, the eclipse is actually at 4:14 this morning. Which will be for us is actually tomorrow, because it's Sunday the 15th here in the UK. So I just want to say, Soph, thank you so much for the timestamp, sweetheart. I really, really appreciate you for it. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing everything. Thank you, Cindy. Lovely to have you. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I got this out. And like I said, I'm so sorry that it was so late. It's just, I was literally typing this up still yesterday, this morning even. And yeah, like I said, for me, this eclipse is happening in a space where usually when I have activations in the fourth, because of, you know, my stuff, I tend to just kind of go, and then, you know, I want to hide and I just want to, you know, step out and all the rest of it. But I heard the call and it was like, no, you need to do this today. And this is the way, this is just one of the ways that you purge what has become toxic in your life. So this is me practicing what I preach. Right now, all I wanted to do was stay under the quilt, you know, have a duvet day and just kind of like hide. And then, you know, I'll put a video out. I was just going to do like a voice recording and just post that with some pictures. And then they were like, oh yeah, you were you? You better get your ass up and get on YouTube. So yeah, you know, this is how I've shown up today, and I'm actually really grateful because we've had a great time. And it's been really nice to see a lot of your comments and to see how you guys have been experiencing this. And, you know, yeah, absolutely, starseeds and soul fractals, right? Just when you think like, oh, you know, I'm going to have like a fun, whimsical day, or I'm just going to, you know, relax and all the rest of it. You ain't relaxing for nothing. Get up. Okay. It's like, okay, guys, I am just going to take a shower, be out in a minute. So yeah, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with me. Be kind to yourselves. Remember, this is a very sensitive eclipse for all of us. And I will say, this is a time to be gentle with yourself, but not complacent. You got to do this work, right? It's really, really important. And so, yes, hopefully get some sleep tonight, right? Oh my gosh. And the thing that I really want to say to you all is as well, remember that eclipses, whatever their sign, they unpack over 3 to 6 months after the event. We just feel the intensity at the time that it happens, but we see the effects sort of start to show up, you know, anywhere from 2 weeks onwards. And I think with this one, it probably will be about 2 weeks, but it is going to unpack over a longer sort of time. And like I said, for those of you that feel it, I'm not going to go into why, but I believe that this is closing a chapter of 2016 down. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been my absolute pleasure. I love you guys so much. You really, I've been seeing the chat and stuff. Like I said, I can't get into it too much because otherwise I get sidetracked and this becomes, you know, at this point, it's like a almost 3-hour video. So yeah, you are damn right. Goodbye 2016, the year that must not be named. Get some rest. Things that you can do for yourself. Obviously, check that you're not, what do you call it? Check that you're not allergic or anything, but soak your feet in some Epsom salts. Get plenty of your water, all right? Really look after yourselves. Have a nice hot bath, you know, get some of those oils in, some of those bubbles, and just really allow yourself to be, you know, connected and respective of self. Look after yourselves over this period. Eat as lightly as you possibly can. Especially, yes, exactly. Starseeds, time to detox. This is it. This is it. I love you guys so much. There are going to be timestamps now that they are here. Soph was lovely enough to put them up, and I'm so grateful to her for doing that. And I will see you guys very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world. From my heart to yours, I will see you very soon. I love you all to pieces. And it's been my absolute pleasure. I can't wait to get back to doing more lives. Okay?